Hey, welcome to Minor League Maineiacs. This is our second episode.
Sort of.
Uh, yeah, kinda. Uh, so this one's gonna be a lot shorter than our other one. We'll probably do two parts, and tonight's episode will focus on the NFL since there's so much stuff going on with the NFL right now. My name is Josh, and joining me is Greg,
Hey,
Ryan,
What up?
and Hardy.
Why would I have to go last?
uh, so on to NFL topics, we'll be doing some housekeeping items just to begin with. Some current events since we haven't been on in a couple weeks that have happened in the last couple weeks. Probably the biggest thing is Revis going to the Jets, which happened literally 3 hours after we ended our last show.
approximately, yeah. That sounds
I think I was just starting to go to bed, and I looked at my phone, and then I cried myself to sleep. So
Ryan cried too.
yeah,
Yeah.
for different reasons.
Pure joy.
So Ryan, what do you think about the move as
Um,
the resident Jets fan?
I saw it coming. I mean, everyone knows Reeves is going to go with the money. Everyone knew the Jets are going to throw the money at him. So it's in the aspect of was it a shock? Hell no. Of what he brings to the team, then you bring Camardi, and then you got Milner coming back, and then you got Screen. I mean, that's incredible. Cornerback core. I think you can even change Cromartie to a safety if you need to. So that really helps our D-backs out a lot. And that was our biggest struggle last year is that, Chad Pennington could have thrown a 50-yard bomb on us, and that's sad. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious the defense is going to be much improved, especially with
Jets still
Bowles.
don't scare me though.
Well, no. I mean, even with all those improvements, I think they'll still be an 8-8, maybe 9-7 team for the next 3 years if they have Revis. So
They got to improve on offense first, basically. But, Ryan, I'm curious what you think about all the guaranteed money in that contract. That was fucking huge.
it is. And I guess the only way the Jets can really get screwed out of this is if he goes down with an injury, because that is guaranteed money. But if he plays out his 4 or 5 years, even if it's 4 and he's healthy and he's Revis, then I have no problem with that guaranteed money whatsoever. It's a gamble though.
The Jets had the money to spend too. That's the other thing. The Patriots have a bunch of contracts coming up within the next years that they're going to have to re-sign, and tying up that much money with Revis, it goes against their business practices that they've used, and we've seen that time and time again. But they just don't have the space, and you couple that with the absurd amount of money the Jets had available and were willing to throw at them, it makes perfect sense. So I wasn't surprised. Disappointed, but not surprised.
yeah, I think the biggest thing is that is the Patriots' business model, and I kind of feel like that's why it doesn't bother me that the Jets got him because it's not their business model. They're one of the only teams that are going to go out there and spend that kind of money on a cornerback, all that kind of guaranteed money on a cornerback, when they don't have a team to do anything in the next 3 years anyway. Unless they luck into someone in the draft, it's not going to actually make a difference, and it probably would hurt them in the long run because all that money is going to be tied up to someone that isn't making a big enough difference for what you already have on the team. That's the way I look at it.
I'm interested to see Ryan's view on this. Ryan, I get the sense that the Jets kind of almost were the ownership to their hand was forced to go and get Revis or make some kind of big signing because the fan base and the New York media was just so pissed after last year. Do you think this was just kind of in part to placate that?
I mean, of course. Geez, the fans basically got the GM fired. You know what I mean? You're going to have that. Johnson's the complete tool, so everyone hates him to begin with. So you hate that aspect. But I think a big play the Jets are going for, and it's not always the right play, is the win now mentality. And I'm really curious to see if we go for Drew Brees or someone in the draft.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees
Yeah.
in the draft?
There were Drew Brees trade rumors all over the place. He's not lying. You
Philip
Patriots
Rivers-
fans wouldn't have read about that.
Well, no, I was confused by the wording of it. Go after Drew Brees in the draft like he's a rookie.
Right.
That's what I was.
Go trade for him in the draft.
Right. Okay.
Or
I mean,
Philip
they
Rivers.
need a quarterback, so they're going to make a push for somebody.
Do you think, Ryan, that I know we're getting a little off topic here, but Ryan, do you think that the Jets would draft Mariota at 6 if he's there?
I think their biggest play is to trade that pick, whether it's 2 if Kelly wants it, or whether San Diego wants to get rid of Rivers right now, or the Saints. I think ultimately, if all those things strikes out and they can't get it, and Mariota is still there, I think we do take him, but I don't want to.
I don't think he's going to fall to 6, but I don't think the Jets even really want him. I think they want to keep building that defense. I think, especially the linebacking core is pretty weak. This is really the only weak spot in their defense is the linebackers. But as we've seen with the Patriots over the years, that's a very important position to run your defense behind. So I think that's what they're going to go for in the draft. And I think that they'll probably stay at 6 if there are guys there to try to if a linebacker falls to them. And I think if Mariota falls to them, then they're going to have it's going to be hard to not take Mariota, but I don't think there's no way in hell that they move up for him. It's just going to be one of those situations where if he falls to them, they're going to have to think long and hard about their options, because it's hard to pass up on a quarterback that probably won't be the next Brady, Breeze, Rodgers, Luck, but what if he is and you skipped on him type of thing. But I don't think they're head over heels for him. And I also, I was trying to, it got me off topic a little bit with the Mariota talk, but I was just thinking back to what we were talking about with Revis before, and the Jets. Oh, GMs, John Izek. I was just wondering if, I know the fans and media wanted Izek out, but I thought it was interesting that the Jets were this team that went for it, overspent, and then crashed. They hired Idzik to fix it. He gets them way under the payroll, and then they fire him, bring in a new GM who's now spending all the money again. So like they literally brought in Idzik to do one thing, and that's give them the flexibility and cap space to do things. And once he did it, they fired him and brought someone else in that's now spending money like crazy. So I was just wondering how that isn't getting more play with New York fans.
New York doesn't care. New York's always a spending town, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, or football. We could give 2 shits how much money you throw at them. All we care about is, are you putting up W's? And which clearly they haven't been. So spend all the money you have. If you have the money, I mean, I don't give a fuck if you're shitting it out or if we're throwing it at you. Spend it. All right? Who cares?
That's fair. That is a good point. That is a very good point. All right, I think we beat the Revis horse to death. So, one last thing. Jets versus Patriots opening day, or do you think that's overplayed?
I don't know. I don't think it'll happen, but it wouldn't really surprise me.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see Philly, honestly. It'd be more interesting at least of a game.
Because that one's going to be like nationally broadcast, right? The first game for the Super Bowl champ is always like prime time. So, yeah. I mean, unless the Jets make some big moves at the draft and can get like a quarterback and it actually looks like it's going to be, a big matchup, they don't want, not that it necessarily will be a blowout because Jets-Patriots games almost always seem to be close, but it has the potential to turn into Thanksgiving a couple years ago and it be a 45-3 game. Sorry,
yeah.
Ryan.
I can see it being a little bit of competitive Jets-Patriots week one. Week one being the key there because it's all fresh. You got all the players, rolling rare and ready to go, all excited and whatnot. I think that would be the best opportunity. And on national spotlight like that, I feel like the Jets defense is good enough that they would come out and play a really tough game. I wouldn't say I would pick the Jets. Sorry, Ryan. But I think it'd be a lot closer than you guys think. Only, again, week one being the key there. If it's like week 15 and nobody has anything to play for but a contract.
Well, shit, this year it was, week 14 or 13 or something, and the Patriots only beat them by 2 points, 1 point. So,
yeah.
in the midst of Super Bowl seasons, the Patriots always seem to play those tough divisional games. I remember, I think it was 2004, in week 15, we lost to the Dolphins, who were friggin' garbage that year. It just happens.
All right, on to the NFC. So a couple of things to talk about. DeMarco Murray to Philadelphia, and Dallas losing Murray and picking up McFadden. Hardy, what do you think of both moves as the Giants fan that's getting affected the most?
Yeah, so when I saw the Eagles signed Murray, I get that they made the smart move and by paying Murray instead of McCoy, they got something for McCoy, so they paid the same contract but ended up with a good linebacker also, basically. So I get where that's coming from, but honestly, just Chip Kelly to me seems like right now he kind of got a little overconfident in the last couple years. If this works out, great, fine. Well, not for me, but if it works out for them, fine. Fine. Chip Kelly's good. He knows what he's doing. But honestly, it's like how those are some seriously bold moves. I just don't get it. McCoy, I think, is better than Murray. By the way, McCoy isn't as injury prone as Murray. Murray was running behind a better offensive line in Dallas. I think that they downgraded at running back. I think that Kiko Alonso is great, but I mean, a middle linebacker is not going to be, especially in the 4-3 defense that they run. I believe they run a 4-3. And the middle linebacker is kind of like the captain, but he doesn't need to be an athletic tackle machine like you need in a 3-4. And as for Dallas signing Darren McFadden, this pains me to say, but I think as long as Darren McFadden can stay healthy, we all agree that anybody can run behind that Dallas offensive line. I could run behind that Dallas offensive line. But Darren McFadden, I think if he stays healthy, is actually really talented. He's just really had really shitty offensive lines in Oakland, and I'm not looking forward to McFadden running in Dallas if he stays healthy, basically.
I will be. Just kidding. Fuck Dallas.
Yeah, I think Hardy kind of touched on it, but with the bold moves that Chip Kelly's making, and it really especially after he had that press conference where he just kind of aired all the dirty laundry out there. It was like the weirdest. It was like the most un-Belichick press conference ever, like the opposite of what Belichick would ever do. He just was like, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna just tell you all about it and air everything out there because you guys are questioning me, and it's affecting my ability to actually run my organization." And that's why I kind of feel like the Murray thing is I got rid of my running back, my all-star, all-pro running back, and then people started making fun of me for it. So now I'm going to sign the biggest one on the market, and it just seemed like a grab move to just like show the media and the fans that, hey, I'm not giving up on this team or whatever. I'm still going for it. And it just
I
it just
agree.
was desperate.
I kind of, and sorry to bring this again, Ryan, but it kind of reminds me of Rex Ryan in his first few years with the Jets, all kind of cocky and brash, and I'm not here to kiss Belichick's rings, all this boldness, cockiness. It kind of reminds me of that, of being like, what are you doing, dude? I just don't get what Chip Kelly's doing.
He's either going to be the next great hero of the city of Philadelphia, or he's going to get chased out of town by people carrying pitchforks and torches. Like, it's one or the other.
Very, very true. All right, another housekeeping item. Wilfork to Houston. I think we were kind of talking about the possibility of this. It was like Indy, Houston, Patriots were the names, but then it was official last week. As the Patriots fan, other than myself, I'll let you go first, Greg, on how you feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, you're always bummed to see a guy like this go, but after watching, the Patriots through the Belichick era, it doesn't really surprise you anymore, or at least it shouldn't if you're paying attention. The one thing that I'm just really happy about is that there doesn't seem to be any animosity. There's no bad blood between Wilfork and the Patriots organization, which is good because, he's played, 10, 11 years with us, won 2 Super Bowls, is, a local hero. So the last thing you want to do is alienate that guy in the twilight of his career, because he's, in my eyes, he's a Patriot for life. Even if he plays 2-3 more seasons in Houston, he's going to go into the Patriots Hall of Fame, and he deserves to be there. So, but it is a great pickup for Houston. That defensive line is going to be scary, especially if Wilfork stays healthy. And
Especially if Clowney stays healthy, yeah.
Yeah, and isn't a dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say much else. I mean, it was obviously coming for a while after last year when they restructured his contract, and he
Yeah.
basically said goodbye to Patriots fans last year, cleaned out his locker,
Yeah,
and
we all
and
thought this
then
was coming last year, and then he came back.
right,
Oh, okay.
exactly, and so there's part of me that was like, well, maybe it'll happen again this year, uh, but he got, I think he got the money he wanted. I mean, he got I think it was 9 million over 2 years, and most of it, a lot of it's guaranteed, not a lot of incentive based stuff. I'm sure that's what the Patriots were offering was something lower that was all incentive based. So uh, I thought that he was either gonna. The possibility was that no one would give him that kind of money, and that he would just end up retiring instead. So I'm surprised that he got the money, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that he got the money because he's such a good guy and deserves it.
Yeah.
And it's cool that he went out on top. You know, starting rookie year, he won a Super Bowl, and his last year with the Patriots, he wins a Super Bowl. So that's really cool to see from someone. And like Greg said, I mean, with Belichick, I don't know, we've seen from Lawyer Mulloy, Asante Samuel. I mean, there's so many guys. McGinnis, Richard Seymour. You
Yeah.
know, like this. It's every year. It feels like this happens. And
Yeah,
even
even Logan,
Brady's
like he wasn't
right.
quite as well known unless you're you pay attention. But I mean, they shipped him out like at the end of training camp.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, yeah, even like Brady said it on multiple times that he knows that he's got to keep playing, or Belichick will replace him. I mean, he's not stupid. He knows that that's how it goes. So not a surprise, but obviously you're always sad. Especially, I think Wilfork's easily the most loved character out of all the people that Belichick has shipped out. So, but it definitely helps the letter that he wrote and makes fans feel good and everything. Uh, so something else big that happened in the NFL that kind of took people by surprise: the Chris Borland retiring after his rookie season. I I mean, it blew people out of the water.
yeah.
Uh, just initial thoughts, Ryan, when you
Um,
heard. What did you think?
I don't know if I've told you guys, but I've told a lot. I think I probably talked to you or Josh or Hardy while we were getting drunk. But I think the NFL is clearly they're making millions. They're the top notch. They're at their peak right now, which is great. But things with rule changes and these stupid scandals and how they handled the Ray Rice issues and just players' misconduct, and now this and concussions is a huge thing because now Mike Ditka is even being an advocate not to play football. And Mike Ditka is Mr. Football. You know what I mean? So when he's coming out saying that he would not let his child play football, and now you're seeing this movement in the States like, are we going to fix these helmets? How are you going to fix these issues? I mean, you got Jim McMahon, who's basically brain dead now because of everything he went through. And I mean, I love McMahon. I'm not trying to say that as a joke. It's sad to see players that go through this. I think Borland, and I think there's 3 other players that retired under the age of 30 this year in the NFL for multiple reasons. Willis was one, and then there's a couple others. It's a fad that if this keeps happening is not good for the NFL in the long run.
I disagree that it's not good for the NFL in the long run. I think all the other stuff you said about rule changes and all that stuff, yeah, definitely. I don't think very many of us are going to be happy if they do that weird point after thing. But I think it might actually be good for the NFL if players start retiring sooner because think about teams like Oakland and Houston for the longest time, Cleveland, that are just irrelevant every fucking year because the Patriots are always good. What are some of the Packers are always good. It's every single year it's the same thing. It takes like 10 years for any sort of legitimate turnover to come around. But if players start retiring earlier, you start seeing some turnover, some rollover a lot sooner, a lot faster. So it's more. I know the NFL we always have this. Every season's a new season. But if players start retiring sooner, I feel like it happens even more so. I mean,
I see where you're coming from with that, but I think Ryan's point was that unless the NFL and youth football and like high school football programs start addressing the concussion issue, parents are going to get more and more scared of letting their kids play football. The talent pool in college is going to start to dry up, and you're going to have a weaker product. in the NFL. The NFL is not going to go away anytime soon. There's way too much money involved. But if you start bringing in, a lower caliber of player than you were before, that could be damaging. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Chris Borland retiring. I mean, it's getting some people to talk about it, but it's I don't think it's going to really change anything. This would need to be like the beginning of the floodgates opening for this sort of thing for it to really have an effect on the NFL, because the NFL doesn't do anything until it starts to affect their bottom line.
Yeah, I think the Chris Borland thing is just too small. You can't have one guy changing an entire attitude or an entire system. It's not going to change anything. It's just people have already stopped talking about it, and it's just been a week since he's done it. So it's a bloop that happens real quick because it's the NFL and then goes away. I think that a lot of youth programs are making changes. I mean, you hear about the Heads Up program all the time, and you see how it's part of culture in the South. Like,
oh God, yeah.
Like football to the South is like hockey to Canada. You know what I mean? Like it's never going away ever.
Like soccer to Brazil.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So you're not gonna, no matter what happens, I don't think you're ever gonna see the pool diminish. I mean, you watch one episode of like Friday Night Tykes, and you're just like, holy shit, that's a whole nother level of what these people do for football.
One point that I did see on Twitter that I thought was really good was that Chris Borland obviously has a backup plan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's probably, if he doesn't already have his degree, he's going to go finish that with the money that he's made, and then he's going to pursue a career in something else. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys who make it to the NFL and are playing their rookie deals don't have any other options, or at least feel that they don't have any other options. They don't have any other skills. They were, like a one and done, or they got, they skated through on some bullshit academic schedule at a big school like Alabama, where they were taking paper classes, learning Swahili that they can't even speak. It's a lot of guys, the NFL is their only way out, and whether they're scared of getting concussions and ending their career and being brain dead, they have no other viable means of making income. So that's the other thing.
I think that point is one that it perfectly sums up the situation of Borland versus the rest of the NFL. You're not going to see guys retiring because they didn't actually get a college education. They have no other options in the NFL, so they have to stay in the NFL. It's a risk-rewards thing, and the rewards versus the risk for Borland wasn't enough, but for a majority of these other guys, that risk is worth basically the only reward they see in their future. So
exactly.
I think the biggest thing that you might see though is, and it's always quarterbacks can choose to go to the MLB. I mean, you had Elway was a Yankee and was going to turn down his deal until they got that switched out. I mean, Russell Wilson's, with Texas, Manziel got drafted. Any quarterback can play in the MLB where it's guaranteed money. It's a lot safer. You can play to your 50 if you do it right. You know what I mean? And I think if you see talent, say if you saw Brady and Luck and those players who are great at baseball go to the MLB, then you're getting a different product because then you're going to get players like, I don't know, Geno Smith at quarterback, and you're going to have a terrible league.
Yeah. I think the league would adapt, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Be a more run-based league, probably, like it used to be.
It'd just be like middle school and high school where the guys don't have the arm, so they just hand it off 50 times a game. But I see what you mean, though. You would lose out on some big-name talent, and that could hurt. But I think the game would recover.
Yeah.
Although, Brady playing baseball would be the greatest, because him trying to beat out an infield ground ball to first base would be the funniest goddamn thing in the world.
That's why you'd be a pitcher. He wouldn't have to do that. You'd be in the AL.
He runs like a wounded gazelle. It's my favorite thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if Brady became a pitcher, they'd still have the Expos.
The Expos are fucking great.
Well, that's what he was drafted by. Although he was as a catcher, so.
Yeah, Brady is a catcher.
Haha, that's so funny. He's married to a supermodel. He can catch whatever he wants on the
I
side.
can be jealous. Shut up.
All
That's
right.
the best part is Brady can just keep taking pay cut after pay cut because Giselle can bankroll.
Right. She's making like 5, 6, 10 NFL salaries like per year.
Like how many NFL power couples is the quarterback not the breadwinner?
Right. All right. Enough of Brady catching. So rule changes. There have been a few that have. I think there was like 30 that were at least submitted, and there are a few that keep getting released every day that do pass. Some of the smaller ones are just really quick. Game clock reviewable on the final player half by instant replay system. That's an obvious one. Prohibit players from pushing teammates in attempts to block punts. Had no idea that wasn't a rule already. It is for at least.
Yeah, that's a rule for field goals, right?
Right. Yeah. So I guess they just did it with punting now. The expanded prohibition of illegal peel back block to all offensive players. So I guess they're just expanding the already illegal peel back move.
Okay.
Last one, the last small one. Oh wait, no, there's a couple more. Given an intended defenseless receiver protection and immediate action following interception. So basically, if Revis intercepts a ball, you can't lay him out immediately, just like a wide receiver. So
okay.
that's one that makes sense. That was submitted by the competition committee. The other ones were by teams. And the last one, make it illegal for a running back to chop block a defenseless opponent outside the tackle box, which makes sense.
Yeah, again, that's common sense.
Yeah, going back to player safety.
How about
the one who's making the news?
The Ravens crybaby one.
We'll get to that. Okay, Greg, calm your shit. All right, one of the other ones, allowing a medical stoppage by the ATC spotter. That's a spotter that's upstairs in the press box that will, if passed, see a player that displays obvious signs of disorientation or is clearly unstable. So basically, there's going to be another referee out on the field, and whenever he thinks someone is concussed, that player has to be taken off the field and reviewed by a NFL doctor, I guess, and before he gets put out. So basically, what you're seeing is that hit on Russell Wilson in the NFC Championship game versus the Packers. I think it was Clay Matthews, where he was obviously concussed, and he just went back into the game anyway, and then went on to win. That's a situation where you probably don't see him come back into the game with this rule. And second, the Edelman hit in the Super Bowl, where he went down and then somehow got up and just kept running because he basically was like a chicken with his head cut off, not knowing where he was, so he just kept running. So that's another situation where who knows if the Patriots win if Edelman isn't in the game to catch the game-leading touchdown. So this is obviously...
They could have also called correctly the illegal hit to the head because
that's fair.
That was
fair too. Yeah.
15-yard penalty any day against Chancellor.
But the biggest point is that this is really going to affect games. I mean, imagine a Russell Wilson or Brady or something like going down that, even for a couple games in a big situation, just because they think he may have a concussion. I mean, that's some huge risks that the NFL is taking by instating this rule.
I think it's probably a good rule, but I can just see it now. The official will call the timeout or whatever because Eli's wandering around like a moron, but there's actually nothing wrong with him. He's just confused.
Dude, I heard someone say the exact thing.
Medication that morning.
Well, it's like the Eli face just standing there. I heard someone say the exact same thing with Jay Cutler. Like he's just going to be diagnosed with a concussion all year long because of his just like I don't know face. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I can kind of see where people would want the league to be in charge of determining whether or not someone's concussed, because what you don't want is a team like, say, the Patriots, Gronkowski got absolutely rocked, and then the Patriots trainers are the ones who are examining for a concussion, and they're like, listen, we need him back out there whether he can see straight or not, and the team just kind of hushes it up and sends him back out to play. I can see why people want league oversight in that situation, but this gets weird then if you're just, because obviously they're not going to stop the game while they pull this guy out, and that's where things get dicey, because what if you're wrong? now you've just potentially cost this team points, and then that changes the competitive advantage. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it's actually implemented.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like right now last year I think or the year before that they went again away from the team doctors looking at concussions, and every sideline had a NFL doctor looking at the players. That was already instituted. Now I think what they're trying to do is take it out of the players' hands. So like Edelman isn't, instead of, I mean, technically, I guess the situation wouldn't have been because Edelman did get taken out and got put back in after looking at a team doctor.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
after looking at the NFL doctor. Oh, maybe I don't know. Well, they said he got put back in, so I assume an NFL doctor looked at him and gave him a concussion test. I mean, that's what the rumors are. But I think it's just to protect because lots of times players get dinged and then don't even go out and just stay in the game. So I think this is to try to protect them, which I understand, but at the same time it's football, and you kind of just got to let the players risk it.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL would be much better if they just created, if they actually provided enough money for NFL players that are dying at the average age of like 57 or younger even.
That'd be a start.
Yeah. I mean, but instead of doing that, they just want to change the game so that they can't get sued in the future. So that's a whole other overlying issue to this whole thing, is that they know that their game, they know that no matter what, people are going to watch their game. So they're going to change the rules to help them so they don't have to pay the players. That's the way I see this entire situation. It's just another rule change so that they don't have to pay the players as much as they should pay the players. And it's going to kill the game for it, or hurt the game.
Well, so aren't like the pending lawsuits because like the NFL wasn't clear or like wasn't upfront with the risk that players were assuming?
Right.
Because I think now everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at what point do you stop taking precautions and just let the game be the game and be like, hey man, there's a good chance you go out there and you get your bell rung real hard today and you don't get to play for a while, or it does some serious damage. As long as they're up front and that's like built into the contracts and the players are still willing to take that risk, that protects the NFL. It might not be the best look for the NFL, but it protects them.
Yeah, I just don't see the players' union agreeing to that because they know it too, and they'd rather get.
Well, but the players' union is really just out to milk the NFL for as much money as they can too.
Right, which they're absolutely horrible at.
Yeah, they
so to get to what Greg can't wait for, apparently, is the Baltimore's submission, one of their submissions to the Rules Committee, was to get rid of the rule, the ineligible receiver rule. So the new rule is, I'm pretty sure it's official too that they put it through, either yesterday or today. The new rule is, it's right here. All right, so I'll try to read it exactly, the letter of the law that I looked up. It'll make it illegal for an offensive player wearing an eligible number between 1 and 49 or 80 to 89 to report as ineligible and line up outside the tackle box. If a player is declared ineligible yet lines up outside the tackle box, the offense will be penalized for illegal substitution, which is a 5-yard penalty. So basically, you can have an ineligible receiver that has a number between 1 and 49 and 80 to 89, but they can't be outside the tackle box. So they're just getting rid of the rule where the Patriots helped beat the Ravens.
Right, because the Patriots declared, or they had Vereen declare as ineligible, but line up like he was going to catch a screen pass. Meanwhile, Manui was lined up in the tackle spot and was eligible, and they just threw him like a seam route.
Right.
I don't even so much have a problem with the rule. I have a problem with how it went down. Like, it just feels like such sour grapes and such just petty bullshit from the Ravens, who clearly were the ones who, whether they attached their names to this or not, they were clearly the ones who put this forward. It's like, oh, we got out-coached. They made a great play. We don't want to have to worry about that in the future, so we're just going to try and make it illegal. Like, what is that shit? Trick plays are one of the best parts about football. They make the Sports Center top 10. They get people talking about it. Like, trick plays are great. We love it.
Right.
Why are you trying to inhibit what the offense can do?
I feel like that time. So I agree that when they did it, it's in the rule book. It's fine. No problem with that. And I agree for the most part with trick plays, but I just feel like that's almost a little too far. It was in the rule book, so fine. I'm not saying that anything was wrong done by the Patriots there, but it's one of those things like, you know, as a non-Patriots fan, you're just like, really, like, yeah, it worked. It worked. You know, good job. That's nice job, but that's just, I don't know. It's annoying is the best way to put it as a non-Patriots fan. And if it happened against my team as an annoying thing like that, it'd be something that you'd be bitching about until forever.
Okay, so here's a question. If that had happened against the Giants and Coughlin had handled it the way Harbaugh had, would you be upset with that? Because Harbaugh was a giant bitch about it.
Oh, I know. I realize that. I wouldn't be upset about Coughlin handling it like that. Probably because I would be so furious that it happened. I wouldn't. It's probably not the best way, but again, I don't really know how else he could have gone about it. I guess he could have complained less publicly, maybe.
I have a solution. Miami decided to be innovative and do a trick play called the Wildcat that had everyone fooled. And they ran it all year.
That is so different.
Why is it different? Why is it different?
Wildcat was so different because you're straight up lining up like, so when the quarterback lines up out wide for the Wildcat, you know he's not, like, okay, you don't have to, okay, you have to cover him, but you realize what's going on there. Like, in this way, it was tricky. Like, the deception of it was in the rule book. It's totally legal. I'm not saying that.
It's the same thing.
The level of deception, though, is totally different.
The level of deception.
Once Miami lines up in the Wildcat, hold on, hear me out. Once Miami lines up in the Wildcat, oh, holy shit, the quarterback's over there. Okay, so somebody cover the quarterback, and that's why it worked the first time because nobody figured out how to defend it. But this time, the way the Patriots lined up, it looked like it was a regular, just normal, nothing different. And the defense was not alerted to the fact that.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
Yeah, they were. The refs told them number blank is ineligible, and then they told him afterwards, after Harbaugh complained, they told him do not cover, and then they announced it in the stadium. They announced it even before before Harbaugh even complained. They announced in the stadium that blank is ineligible. The refs did. They said it to the stadium and to the players.
Fine, even if they did that, fine. I just feel like the difference there is that the Wildcat was not to deceive you. It was just to put up a unique formation. It's to put up a unique formation where the quarterback is not behind center. That's just a unique formation.
Okay,
the Patriots thing was deliberately to confuse and deceive you. And that's if it's in the rule book, fine. I mean, I do not hold anything against the Patriots for using that when it was in the rule book allowed. But I'm just saying I think it's different than the Wildcat, where the Wildcat was just a straight-up trying to throw something unique, a unique formation, whereas the Patriots tried to be like, oh, ha, he was eligible, ha, like.
Yeah, but okay.
So how is that different than lining up in like a traditional shotgun set with the running back and doing a direct snap to the running back? It's still a standard formation where the snap is supposed to be going to the quarterback, but the running back cuts it off. Like, it's that same level of deception. Like, if that's your argument that it's a standard formation, the referee still said, hey, 34 is ineligible. Don't cover him, you idiots.
It's not, but the deception, again, so maybe I should say pre-snap deception. I don't know. And that's not necessarily the case because it's not.
No, it's because it's the Patriots. That's the thing.
No, it's the style of deception is more. I don't know. I don't know how to put it.
Okay, here's the thing. So, like I was saying to begin with,
Ryan, back me up here. Come on.
The Dolphins did this. Hold on. The Dolphins did this, the Wildcat, and instead of Belichick complaining to the league and getting the rule changed so you couldn't do the Wildcat anymore, which people were actually talking about that offseason, was making it a rule change because they said it was too collegey and gimmicky, so no one wanted to do it. Instead of doing that, the Dolphins try the exact same thing next year, and Belichick shuts it down with his defense. That's how you respond as a coach in the NFL. You don't go complain and get a rule change. You shut it down. And I'm sorry, but there's no way Belichick would ever run that again this year because it wouldn't work. because defensive coordinators are too smart, and that's why there shouldn't need to be a rule change. Because
It worked against
the first time, yeah, well, they're stupid. That's because it's Pagano. But
This goes against your whole
first time it even tries, the first time that he even tries it, the ref's going to say, blank is ineligible, you're going to see no one over there, and they're all going to go to the other side, and there may even blitz because you only have 4 freaking offensive linemen. Instead of covering him, bring an extra blitzer in. Brady's going to have absolutely no time to throw, and he can't even throw over to the guy that's ineligible. He'd be screwed.
I think
that's why it's just stupid.
He's eligible to catch a lateral. I think I read that. I might be bullshitting, but I think
No,
if
he can't.
backwards pass.
I don't even think he can do that, or else they could have done it.
I might have read that wrong then. But
Yeah, you don't even have to cover him. No, you don't even have to cover him.
I totally agree with what you just said, Josh, too, by the way. I want to hear what you have to say, Ryan. But I do agree with the whole shouldn't need a rule change thing. I definitely agree there because you could that play will never work again.
Right.
Well, I mean, it will and it can. It's like a hidden ball trick. All right, yeah, you don't do it every game. You don't even do it every year, but it will work again eventually. All right, that's the thing with deceptive plays. But the thing that made this play, I get that the stadium announced it, and I get that, he was declared eligible. But the biggest thing watching that game and then watching it again versus the Colts is that watching that play live is that the players really had no clue, like, what was going on. Their fault. I get it, legal, but they had no idea what the hell was happening. Then when you watch it in Indy, you literally saw the ref basically tap the guy on the ass and say, like, yo, that guy right there, he's eligible. All right, it was a complete difference of how he called it in 2 games because they were scrutinized on ESPN and all that. They literally basically said, fucking watch this guy, and then they still couldn't do it because they suck.
But I think that was to placate Harbaugh.
What?
I think that was to placate Harbaugh and get people to be like, hey, I don't think that was in reaction to the refs being like, oh, well, they shouldn't be doing this. Let's help the defense out. I think it was just like, all right, if these guys are going to bitch this much about it, then we'll fucking make it really obvious.
Well, I think what Ryan is saying is that they didn't even they didn't understand what was going on to begin with. So now afterwards, they just really hit it home against Indy,
and it still worked.
Right. No, and I get that it still worked, but I'm saying they needed to make it clear, and I don't agree with it. But there's also 2 sides that people already got to take. It's I'm going to prove you wrong, Belichick, and I'm going to stop it. And then there's the people that are going to bitch, and sometimes it works. You know what I mean? Both ways it can work at times, and that's the thing with society. You're never going to have the guy that's going to be always Bill Belichick style, and nor would you want every guy to be like Bill Belichick. All right, maybe you guys would, but if you guys were like Bill Belichick, I'd punch you right in the face because he's just a douchebag. All right, but
Belichick hours, damn it.
I think the best part of the whole story, we can kind of end it on this, is that basically the league came out and said the reason they're accepting it is because it's too challenging for the refs to know when it's going on, which is so you're basically saying your refs are too stupid to realize and to be able to handle this situation. That just sums up the NFL.
Well, that's what makes it tricky. If the ref doesn't understand that, how is he supposed to declare or you know what I mean?
But so you have an off-season training program for your referees, and you get them to learn their shit. It's not that hard. So it's just instead of doing that, we'll just make it illegal.
It's just another, no one's surprised that the refs are too stupid to know their own rules in the NFL. So it's just, and then the NFL is basically telling you it now. That's the big difference.
My favorite is that this gets passed, but the league, a $9 billion a year industry, can't afford to put some fucking GoPro cameras on the top of the pylons and get the fixed goal line and sideline cameras. You pay some interns to do it with a friggin' iPhone.
Right. Yeah, no. It makes no sense. All right, so that was a good topic, but we'll move on since we're kind of running out of time, and I really want to get to this last topic because I think it'll be fun. So we kind of placed the question to ourselves: do you want Greg Hardy, Ray Rice, or Adrian Peterson on your team? And we do have some disagreement. I think Hardy is said for the right price, but not Ray Rice. And Greg says no way in hell. I'm on the no way in hell. And Ryan, what do you think?
Would I have any of them on my team? Any of them?
If they're all free agents right now, we did this when Greg Hardy was a free agent. So if all Greg Hardy, Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, free agents, do you want the Jets to sign them?
Yes. Not all of them, certain ones. And again, like Hardy said, it would have to be for the right price. I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to shell out, $40 million guaranteed like they already have. But I'm saying if, say, AP came off for the right price, I would take him in a heartbeat. All right, do I agree what he's done? Hell no. Do I agree of what he can do on the field is exceptional? Yes. All right, Ray Rice, he's not showing signs that he's the old, putting up those yards. He's getting, 3 yards a carry? Wow. I mean, put me out there, I might get a yard fucking close to that. But I don't know. Greg Hardy, that's a tough one, man, because he's probably going to get kicked out of the league. So.
So,
Yeah, I guess,
all right, Hardy, you can go.
I mean, I agree basically with Ryan. I mean, Adrian Peterson is the easy one because you're like, yeah, I disagree with what he did, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I didn't see the pictures, so maybe that's part of the reason I say this. I know it was horrible, but for the right price, give him a chance. Let him say his thing that he's learned or whatever. And I'd say this basically goes for all three of them. The reason I say not Ray Rice actually is not even because of it's a different thing about what he did. It's more of that. You can get a replacement back who's not going to be that much worse with so much less baggage. So in that case, with Ray Rice, probably not because it's just not worth it. But with the talent of Adrian Peterson and even Greg Hardy, if you can get him on the cheap, and he says that he's changed or whatever, if he fucks up again, he's gone. And absolutely not. You don't get 2 strikes. But with just the one time, supposedly, if you don't have to pay him too much, like Ryan, I don't agree with what they did, but I do like that they would play well for my football team.
All right. I mean, I guess I accept that because I'm not totally against those guys getting a second chance somewhere. I just don't want it in New England. And maybe that's because the Patriots have been so good for so long that we don't need a guy like this to be successful. But I don't want these guys anywhere near this organization. Whether they've claim they've changed or not, whether they get a great deal with a bunch of outs in their contract where, if they mess up again, they can just cut them free and clear. I don't want to touch it. It's not worth the headache. And let's be honest, Greg Hardy should be in jail. So should Ray Rice. How the hell he escaped convictions beyond me. But Greg Hardy was actually convicted. So the Cowboys just threw money at a convicted felon. Adrian Peterson is tougher because, did he go overboard? Absolutely. And it's disgusting what he did to his kid. But that's still a hot button issue in this country. A lot of traditional families do still beat their kids or spank them, whatever. And more, a lot of younger parents or people from, more liberal areas want nothing to do with it. So that one's weird to touch, which, again, is why I want the Patriots to have nothing to do with it. Do I think these guys should be barred from the league? Okay, well, Hardy, yes. And, yeah, Ray Rice, too. But I wouldn't be opposed to them necessarily playing somewhere, just not here.
So basically, it's okay that you can beat women as long as you're good and can still support your team. That's what you guys are saying. Beat women on the side. That's cool. We don't really care. Just as long as you're a good player, we'll sign you for the right price.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying that that's my personal belief, but you have to recognize that the NFL is a business, and if teams are willing to deal with the fallout of that, then he should be able to keep his business and his personal life separate.
Well, right, if teams are willing to, but I don't think teams. I think it's absolutely appalling that teams would even consider adding any 3 of them for any amount of money. That's my point.
I think you're always going to have that. And when I say this, I understand that these 3 issues that we just touched on with Ray Rice's wife, the kid, and Hardy is way overboard. But I almost think a team like the Patriots fits because they've taken Randy Moss's, Corey Dillon.
Not the same. Not the same.
I know it's not the same, but it's a troubled athlete, and they've changed him. When Michael Vick came back to Philadelphia, clearly everyone for a year said that this guy should be shot. He should never be back in the league. He did. Now we all welcome Michael Vick like nothing ever happened. All right? same thing. He killed dogs. But, you know what I mean? That's what's going to happen in these situations. Do I agree with it? No, but that's our society, and that's how we look upon things. So there's going to be some team that takes a chance on this, and they could potentially
Right, but
change.
I'm saying your team. The question was your team.
Right.
You
I
want them to be on your team.
that they would go for Adrian Peterson. I said the other two no.
That's ridiculous.
I think I would agree with Ryan on that. I wouldn't be happy with Ray Rice being signed by the Giants. I wouldn't be happy with Greg Hardy. But I guess I would wait and see what, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be happy with it. But Adrian Peterson, maybe it's because it's the hotter button issue, like Greg was saying. But I would be probably happy at first if we signed Adrian Peterson, as long as the money was not absurd, because of his baggage lowers his price in my mind.
See, I can't even imagine
contract.
I can't even imagine signing him, because just anytime I can just imagine like Greg Hardy on my team in the Super Bowl, and he's running at the quarterback on like 4th down, and that's going to seal the Super Bowl for us, and I have to stand up and cheer for him, and it's like
don't cheer for him, cheer for the team, though. Like,
no, but you still have to cheer for him, and your team's he's making millions of dollars. He got no repercussions for what he did. Nothing.
So wait, so you're saying you've never rooted for a fantasy player? But wait, I'm doing it the other way around. Never mind. Just kidding.
Okay.
No, I see what you're saying, Josh, but like, unless the NFL comes out and starts banning people for this kind of thing, which, let's face it, could start happening, because there's a lot of pressure on them to start, taking a harder stance on domestic violence and stuff. So there's a very good chance that, something, they start handing out lengthier, like season long, or, just straight up barring them from the NFL. But that's not the world we live in right now. And as long as the NFL is going to allow these guys to be signed, teams are going to sign them. Do I want the Patriots to sign them? No. However, I do agree with Ryan's point that if any team could handle the media circus that would surround it, it would be the Patriots. Because Belichick and those guys over there do a really good job of just shutting that shit down. I mean, I know it's totally different, but like, look at the circus that was Tebow in New York. And then they signed him in New England, and you never heard a word about it. You know what I mean? So the Patriots would be good at containing that, but I still don't want them anywhere near our team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree the Patriots would be fine, but there's no way in hell. If they were on your team, if you told me today signing Greg Hardy would win us the Super Bowl, I'd say get him the fuck away from our team. Like, that's how it's disgusting to me that anyone would want him on your team. Like, absolutely disgusting. Like, okay, I'll just give you an example, right? This is word for word out of the police report. Ready? Okay. So this is his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, who has now disappeared because, he basically had to kill her off or pay her off so that he couldn't get convicted the second by a jury. So this is his ex-girlfriend's statement. This is exactly what he did to her. He picked her up, threw her into the tub in the bathroom. They gave her bruises on her head, neck, back, shoulders, arms, legs, elbow, feet. Pulled her from the tub by her hair, screaming, saying that he was going to kill her. Break her arms and other threats. He drug her across the bathroom by her hair and slammed her on the bed. He began to choke her with his hands while she was lying on the floor. He picked her up over his head and threw her on the couch that was covered in assault rifles and shotguns. And when she landed on the weapons, which bruised her, he was bragging that they were loaded. Then he had his assistant come in and hold her down, and while she was holding her down from behind, they took her into the living room area. She begged them to let him go, but they wouldn't, and that she wouldn't tell anyone. So they took her out in the hall and pushed her out. She said that he looked her in the eyes, told her he was going to kill her, and then she basically lost her will to survive and just told him to kill her now and to do it. So someone who is capable of something like that to another human being, and you have no problem with them being on your team, is just like beyond anything that I can understand.
Well, you did a good job of convincing me that Greg Hardy was also on the exempt list with Ray Rice for me, but I'll still stand with Adrian Peterson.
See, wait, what?
Even you read that, I get it. I wanted to cry reading that because I felt so bad. But if you were to pose the question saying signing him would win me a Super Bowl or win the Jets Super Bowl, I'd do it.
So a Jets Super Bowl is more important than a human life?
Yep.
Because it's not like he's gonna do this again. He'll probably kill somebody the second time. We've seen it in other domestic violence cases where these guys don't get a punishment.
Yeah, I'd take that. I'd take a Super Bowl.
You're just bullshitting now. I don't believe you. The biggest thing with the Adrian Peterson thing is that if you see the pictures, I mean, it's hard to want someone on your team who beat like a 5-year-old's private area to the point they were bleeding.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Like, that's not even like Southern, ways. That's not even a culture. That's like getting off on someone. I mean, even if you talk to like an FBI profiler, like the I forget the exact word, but the abusing of someone's private areas is like a huge psychological issue with whoever's doing it. And before he's ever in the NFL, he needs a serious amount of treatment. And I don't think just a year of doing whatever the hell he thinks that he did is enough treatment to ever be considered on a team. The same thing with, I think Greg Hardy should probably be put out back and shot rather than treatment because I don't think there's any hope for someone like that. But even Adrian Peterson,
was appalling.
right? I mean, he's got to. I mean, there just has to be years of treatment before he can ever go in the NFL and make his millions again. And because of that, I don't think he'd ever be able to play again, which is really fine by me. I think the only thing that's interesting is the Ray Rice case, because even though it's inexcusable, both of them were drunk. So it could be a situation where he made one bad mistake. But based on the circumstances, I still wouldn't want him on the team at all. But I think
actually
that's
almost think that how the Ravens handled it was worse than the incident itself, because like you said, they were both drunk. It's disgusting. It's unforgivable. The fact that she married him is unbelievable. But the Ravens basically forced Janae Rice to apologize for her role in the situation. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I know this is the Ravens, and it's the same team that helped Ray Lewis, cover up a double murder, and they're okay with Terrell Suggs, who poured bleach on his wife and child. So it's obviously a shit organization, but yeah, like, I don't know. It's ridiculous. There needs to be serious change in how this is handled with the NFL, but the problem comes with how the legal system gets involved, because there were no charges pressed against Ray Rice. There were no charges pressed against Adrian Peterson, as far as I know. There may have been. But there were charges brought against Hardy, and he was convicted. He should be in jail. The fact that he's allowed in the NFL is ridiculous. But I understand that, if there's no conviction, if he's legally allowed to hold another job, why shouldn't he be at least allowed to be a free agent in the NFL, and then it's up to the teams whether they want to take a chance on him.
Right, that's a situation that the NFL has to do, because they basically have to be But that's the thing with the NFL is if you were a business owner, like a huge like Apple or something like that, and it got out that one of your like Steve Jobs was doing that, do you think Steve Jobs would ever be working at Apple again, even though he created it? Like, there's no way in hell.
Yeah,
it's public. Right, right, exactly, and they should, rightly. And so I think that's sort of the difference. But it is interesting. It's another subset of really the whole thing that businesses, like the NFL, can be harder on people than our own justice system is in cases like this, where they can find
because
loopholes.
The NFL has the player conduct policy, right. And if you break that, you don't need any legal conviction to suspend or get a guy off.
Right. It's definitely it's a lot more interesting. But I think we're basically out of time now, since we were supposed to go 30 minutes, and I think we're about going on an hour now.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll probably end our show here. And thanks, everybody, for listening. And
just remember that the Dallas Cowboys signed that monster.
Yeah, and if you want any of them signed, you're all scumbags, Ryan. I'm looking at you, and since I'm ahead of this, I can say that. See you guys later.